Yo, you got a mic. What's going on, guys? Back from another banger video, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving my final predictions for Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 1. But before I get into that, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, because I'm only about 80 subs away from 1K, so help me achieve that goal. And with all that yapping out of the way, let's get right into the predictions. So first, I'm going to go over who I think will die in Season 5. Now, I think realistically, 3 main characters are going to die. I think that's a good estimate. But if I were to get it the way I wanted, I would want at least half the cast to get murked. Because how are you fighting an other dimensional threat and not getting murked? But I think I'm gonna predict that 3 main characters will bite the dust. Like, not like Ted Wheeler. Like, I wouldn't even call him a main character. Not even Karen Wheeler. I wouldn't call her a main character. Like Murray, the original kids. You know, those guys. The original adults. Like, you know what I'm talking about. So for death predictions, I think 1 member of every age group will get murked. So for the kids, like the young kids, I think 11 will get murked at the end of the season. It's either between 11 or Will, because I think Will is going to be getting controlled by Vecna, or he's going to be like a spy for Vecna. So he might like turn evil or something, and then they might have to resort to just murking Will. Or 11 will sacrifice herself at the end, use all of her powers, and end up getting murked in the process, but she also stops it. So I think either Will or Elle will bite the dust. I could also see both of them dying, but I think definitely at least one of them will. Now, for the older teenagers, I think Jonathan will be the one that dies. Now, if I'm being honest, I think Jonathan is the least liked out of the 4 older teenagers, just because, like, in Season 4, he didn't get that much screen time, and his whole character arc was about being high and just, like, ignoring his problems. Like, I feel like people didn't really care for him. So now you may be like, well, why would anyone care if he dies? Well, here's the thing, okay? If they wasted the last season's arc on him, they're probably going to give him a good arc this season. And also, the reason I think he's dying, it's more of so that I think the other teens are more likely to die than, or are less likely to die than him. Like, I think he just has, like, the highest probability, because Steve, every season it's like, oh my gosh, Steve's gonna die. And it just never happens. And I feel like Steve dying would just be, like, a kind of a repeat of Eddie dying for Dustin. Like, it'd basically be the same thing. And the only people that, like, care about Steve is, like, Dustin. Nancy, like, they're friends. Like, that's, like, the deepest it goes. So I really don't think Steve's gonna die. And then Robin, she's, like, a new character, and I feel like she also, like, doesn't do enough for people to, like, care when she dies. Like, the only relationship she has is with Steve and Vicky, and, like, who cares about Vicky? Like, her relationships are only with Steve. Like, if they're gonna kill someone off, they're going to have multiple relationships with many characters. And the reason I don't think it's Nancy is because she was shown throughout the trailers being, like, basically in the entire season. Like, if she would have died, it would be in the finale. But there was a scene where she was washing blood off her hands, and she was very petrified, which is why I think Jonathan will die, because he has relationships with his brother, his mom, Nancy. Hop would be affected. All the kids would be affected because they basically looked up to Jonathan. So if he were to die, it would be much more impactful. And also, as I mentioned before, that scene where Nancy was cleaning the blood off her hands and she was, like, completely petrified. So I think Jonathan's getting murked. And then for the adults, I think Murray's going to get killed. Now, this is because there was a scene in the trailer where he was driving a truck away from Demogorgons. There's, like, a bunch of Demogorgons on the roof of the truck. They were clawing in, and he was, like, kind of, like, manically laughing, like, oh, this is my one last ride. He was probably distracting them, pulling them away so, like, the rest of the group could do something. So I think he's gonna die. I don't think they're going to kill off Hop because they basically already did that in Season 3. No way they kill off Joyce. And who else do they even have? Karen Wheeler's like the only close fourth. And she might die, but as I said before, I wouldn't even really qualify her as a main character. And of course, Vecna is probably going to bite the dust at the end, unless like they just somehow trap him in the Upside Down and he has no way of reaching the other side. Like, nah, they're definitely going to kill him. There's no way they just like shut the Upside Down, because we all know it's going to eventually open back up. So they're probably going to just have to kill him. So in summary, I think Will or Eleven will die, Jonathan, Murray, and Vecna. So that's like my 5 prediction deaths. Now for the plot, I mean, there's not really much for me to say other than Hawkins is boarded off. Like, when the military's here, you probably can't get in or out. Even though we saw people leaving at the end of Season 4, I think the time jump is 18 months. So, like, by now, they would have the whole military there, everything boarded off. And obviously, they'd be researching the Upside Down, whatnot. So, it's going to be very difficult for the group to stop them, because the military is obviously going to have everything under wraps. But obviously, they're going to find a way to get in. And like every season, we're going to have the groups splitting up and then all coming back together in the finale. Because I feel like if they do what they did in Season 4, where they don't even come together for the finale, like in Season 3, they all met up in the mall to go fight the Mind Flayer together. And then in Season 4, they never fully met up. Like, everyone was still separated in the finale. So I hope in Season 5 they all come together, because like the culmination of all the characters teaming up would just be magnificent. And I really hope they don't do that like they did in Season 4, because that kind of was a letdown. But yeah, I hope they all come together. Obviously, you're going to split up, and then hopefully they come together, and then they're probably going to formulate some sort of plan where Hop and Elle go to the gate and finally shut it down, and Elle finally has her big 1v1 with Vecna, and we get everything resolved with Will and Vecna, and we just get a good ending, right? I mean, if there was a bad ending, like Vecna wins, I don't even know. I feel like they wouldn't do that. I feel like that would just ruin the show if they did that. But what would also ruin the show is if they don't kill off enough characters and the stakes aren't high enough. Like, it would be so bad if they end up beating Vecna and Vecna gets no victims this season. Like, you're telling me he had, what, 3 victims in Season 4, and then he, like, barely gets any, maybe 1 or 2 this season? Like, no. Vecna needs to go on a rampage this season. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share for more content like this, and I will see you guys in the next one.